Today, we're zeroing in on what could very well be the most dangerous place on Earth, that narrow strip of water between China and Taiwan. Now, this isn't some far-off regional squabble. It's a global flashpoint, and honestly, it has the power to change everything.
And that brings us to the biggest, scariest question of all, the one that's on everyone's mind. If this thing really blows up, are we looking at the start of World War III?
At the very heart of this is a crazy dynamic. You've got Taiwan, this small democratic island, standing its ground right next to a global superpower, China. And believe me, what happens here doesn't stay here. The peace of the entire world could be on the line.
So how did we get to this point? I mean, how did things get so tense? Well, to understand that, we have to go back, way back. It all starts with the story of a civil war that literally split one country into two.
Okay, picture this. It's 1949. The Chinese Civil War is over. On the mainland, Mao Zedong's communists have won, and they established the People's Republic of China. The losing side, the nationalists, have nowhere to go, so they retreat across the strait to the island of Taiwan. That moment, that split, is the origin of this entire crisis. And ever since, you've had two completely different realities. From Beijing's perspective, there's only one China. They see Taiwan as a breakaway province that will, one day, come back. But then you look at Taiwan itself. What do you see? A place that, for all intents and purposes, is its own country. It has its own democratic government, its own military, the whole deal. All right, let's fast forward to today. That old historical argument, it's not just in the history books anymore. It has turned into a very real, very tense military standoff. Right now, tensions are higher than they've been in decades. China is seriously cranking up the pressure. It almost looks like they're rehearsing an invasion. We're seeing non-stop military exercises all around the island. Their fighter jets are constantly buzzing Taiwan's airspace. Warships are patrolling the strait. They're even testing missiles nearby. This is a clear-cut strategy of intimidation. And the language coming out of Beijing has gotten, well, pretty chilling. They're not beating around the bush anymore. The official stance is that reunification will happen. It's not a question of if, it's a question of how, either peacefully or by force. But don't think for a second that Taiwan is just sitting back and taking it. No way. They are actively boosting their own defenses and looking for help from other countries. And that's what makes this a real powder keg. One wrong move, one mistake on either side, and this thing could ignite. Now, this is where the plot thickens, because another huge player steps onto the stage, and it's the most powerful military in the world, the United States. So, America's position here is complicated. It's something called strategic ambiguity. Officially, the U.S. government says, okay, we acknowledge the one China policy. But in reality, the U.S. is Taiwan's biggest and most important ally, especially when it comes to military gear. And we're not just talking about nice words. This is real, tangible support. The U.S. sells Taiwan advanced weapons, gives them military training, and even sends its own Navy ships through the Taiwan Strait. It's a very clear message to China saying, hey, we're watching.
So here's the bottom line. The thing you really need to understand, if China actually attacks Taiwan, this probably won't stay a fight between just the two of them. It has a very, very real chance of becoming a direct war between China and the United States, two nuclear powers.
But why? Why does the whole world care so much about this one small island? Well, the reason is something you can't even see with the naked eye, but it's powerful enough to run our entire modern world. I am talking about semiconductor chips. Just think of them as the tiny little brains inside of, well, everything. I mean, every single piece of electronic gear we use today. Without these chips, our world just stops. And here is the crucial part. Taiwan doesn't just make some of these chips. No, it is the world's undisputed king. They produce the vast majority of the most advanced, most powerful chips on the planet. They don't just lead the market, they are the market. So let that sink in. The smartphone in your pocket, the laptop you work on, the car you drive, the AI that's changing our future, all of it, every single bit, depends on these chips from Taiwan. If that supply chain is ever disrupted, you're looking at an instant global economic catastrophe. So let's just game this out for a second. What if the absolute worst-case scenario happens? What would a war actually look like? Well, it would probably escalate and fast. It would likely start with a massive Chinese missile and sea invasion. Taiwan would fight back, and they'd fight hard. That's when the US and its allies like Japan would almost certainly get dragged in. And just like that, the entire Pacific Ocean could become a war zone.
The economic damage would be immediate and devastating. Major global trade routes would get shut down. The price of oil would go through the roof. Stock markets would go into a free fall. The production of pretty much everything, cars, computers, phones, would just stop. We are talking about a worldwide economic crisis like nothing we've ever seen before.
So when you boil it all down, this is so much bigger than a simple fight over a piece of land. It's really a battle for who runs the world, who controls the technology of the future, and who gets to set the rules for the 21st century. Which, of course, brings us back to that one final, terrifying question that's hanging over all of this. Will China actually do it? Is war inevitable? It's the one question that the future of our world might just depend on.